The numbers are astonishing to me. You've got 10 teams in the league, 10 teams in the league that their entire payroll is going to be less than what the payroll of the of I can't believe remember the two players. It was Mike Trout and Carlos Correa. Those two combined are going to make more money than 10 teams' full rosters. And those 10 teams are the Cincinnati Reds, the Seattle Mariners, the Kansas City Royals, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Miami Marlins, the Oakland A's, the Cleveland Guardians, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Baltimore Orioles. And to not force these owners to spend money is the problem that baseball is having. And I've said this time and time again. I don't know how many times have you heard me say it, Buck, but baseball needs to have a salary floor, not a salary cap, but they need to have a floor because the only way you're going to get anybody to compete and to be where they are, they have to spend money. And I was working the numbers. I was talking with our boy Wayne G about the numbers. He loves numbers, and he came up with something of $134 million cap with $125 million floor. And each team could currently work out like the big players. Mike Trout would still make the same amount of money. Your big contracts would still be the same amount of money, and owners would still pull in the same percentage of money that they made. Like that to me is the growing problem with the sport. When you've got places like the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have a great fan base, the Baltimore Orioles, who have a great fan base, being the bottom two teams in the league, spending money is absolutely ridiculous. And then when you look at the numbers, go ahead. I'm going to ask. So here, we'll go mid range. The Cubs are right in the middle. They are three, which is gross in itself because they are a top four grossing team in the league with $3.4 billion. But the Chicago Cubs have a payroll of $123 million this season. Okay, where do you think the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles are at?
Well,
If you had to
I
guess,
I do know that they are at least a bottom five because if I remember correctly, I saw the
oh,
Pirates were the
they're the
lowest, and
bottom
then
two.
Orioles, and then
They're the bottom
yeah.
two. But where do you? How much money do you think they're spending? Cubs are at 123 million.
Oh
They're in the middle.
shoot, I would probably say 5 or 6 million.
No, no, it's higher than that. I'll give you that. I'm surprised that it's higher than that, but it's higher than that. The Pittsburgh Pirates are spending $35 million this year on salary. The Baltimore Orioles are spending $30 million. Do you know how much money those teams are expected to gross in income?
Not a clue.
$1.2 billion.
Jeez.
$1.2 billion, and they're paying out 35 and $30 million respectively. Like how can you as an organization sell to your fans, come out to the ballpark, invest in our team? How are kids in those areas in Baltimore, in Pittsburgh, in Cleveland, how are kids in those areas supposed to get engaged with a game when you're not spending any money to bring in any notable names to sell them on that?
Yeah, I got
Like
nothing.
I don't understand what is going on. And baseball to me needs to get it together. They need to figure it out. They need to do something because these 10 teams that are on this list, between the Cincinnati Reds, who they just went from 100 and I believe it was 142 million down to 90 million, the Seattle Mariners, who are at 85 million, Kansas City Royals, who are at 77 million, Tampa Bay Rays at 64 million, the Arizona Diamondbacks at 71, the Miami Marlins at 55, the Oakland A's at 38, and the Cleveland Guardians at 35. Pittsburgh Pirates at 35, and their payroll of that is actually only 22 million, I should say. The other that they have in there is the retained. So that's how much money they brought back from last year's roster was $3 million.